Hey there, guys. Teehashee here, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this re recover of our audio. If you watched the previous episode, this is the debut of my webcam, mostly just a test, and we're just here getting this audio back. This was on a story mission, so I feel bad. It's also funny, after rewatching the mission, about 75% of the way through the mission, I actually realized that I had my microphone off for like the last episode and a half and turn it back on. So you might see some audio quality change. You might see or hear some. I was using my trusty old laptop at the time, so you probably hear its fans blaring just as fast as their little hearts can. And so, anyway, but yeah, we're about to take on Tierlin or Tyrelin, however you say it. I don't know. It's one of my favorite missions in the game, um, and I'll go into sort of why. Normally on these missions, I showcase a mech, and on this one, I don't remember doing one. So I might talk to you about a mech, or I might just talk about the mission because the mission is super cool and super fun. Um, Pretty sure we end up taking the Kintaro, the Firestarter, one of the Cyclopses, and the Marauder. I think we're gonna take the Q, the traditional one, or the Z. Still deciding. Still deciding. But anyway, it's a it's a fun mission, Highlands mission. Uh, Big thing about it is it's not exactly a hard mission, but I guess I'll just wait. I'll wait a minute and go into it while I'm sorting my lance out. In the meantime, if you didn't check the upload date of this video or the recording date, I'll do my sort of loading screen hopes and dreams now, because this video is made a year, like almost to the day, a year after I recorded it, or at least its upload came a year later. So anyway, it's a different world in like a constantly changing world. The pandemic is in a different state. I'm not arrogant enough to say that it's over. I'm, you know, I leave it up to like the Bush era people to say like mission accomplished, right? That's not my generation. So anyway, those guys can make those calls and declare victory whenever they want. But for now, vaccines have all been rolled out. Most people have them. Numbers are going down, like for the first time in the United States and since the beginning of the issue. But we've got new issues, or new old issues, however you want to look at them. Whether it's climate change, basically the entire world is on fire. Doesn't matter if it's the United States, doesn't matter if it's Great Britain, doesn't matter if it's Europe, since they don't count anymore. And so, anyway, that's a thing. And the economy is on the brink of recession, which again isn't a surprise. People probably complain, rightly so, but it's not a surprise. And what do we have? We have like record inflation in most developing countries. China is in the middle of a housing crisis. Great Britain's in the middle of a housing crisis. The United States is in the middle of a housing crisis. Different kinds of crises. But yeah, it's a good time to be alive. You definitely have a lot of confidence in global leadership at a time like this. Like, I honestly think at this point that it's petty to be like, oh, like a person from party X could do it better, or a person from party Y could do it better. No, we have like a leadership crisis, and it's on a global level. It doesn't matter if you're talking about like Lord Putin. It doesn't matter if you're talking about King Trump or President Biden or Xi Jinping. It doesn't matter who you talk about. You have a leadership crisis wherever you go. Stuff just isn't getting fixed fast enough, no matter who you believe in. So, anyway, that's sort of long winded in terms of hopes and dreams. I mean, what I would just say is instead of worrying about things on a global strategic level, if you have the kind of power to fix those things, please start fixing those things. But if you're just like a regular person like me, just try and help like the person next to you. Pick like one person or one family who you know will use your help, that will value your help, that your help is going to a good, dedicated, personal source, and help those people. That's what I have to say about that. Okay, so here we are. So the mission objectives are simple enough, right? Destroy turret generators. Straightforward. Like the same lessons. This is what I like about this mission in particular is people talk about like boss fights in video games and how the boss fights are supposed to be like the final exam for the lessons that you've learned from the game. Like as you learn to play the game teaches you lessons, and then you do the boss fight, and then it's like the final exam, right? This is the mission that actually happens on. Like the final missions are like they're like dedicated story missions, and they have their own challenges involved. Like the very like we'll get to it, but just like we're coming up on like a straight up punch up fight, one-on-one battle, where this isn't like that at all. This is more like have you learned the lessons about mobility? Have you learned about like heat efficiency? Have you learned how to split your lance, right? Have you learned how to use all of your units instead of moving like in one big cluster, which again is a viable strategy in other cases, not in this one. So here Kamea is pointing out that we have these spotter mechs. They're spiders, they're very frail, but as long as they're alive, the directorate will be dropping artillery on you. The artillery mechanic introduced to you the first time you fight the Taurian Fortress dropship. And so, anyway, here we go. But this is cool because, you know, assuming that you've learned your lessons, assuming that all your pilots from the beginning of the game aren't dead, you should have good pilots, you should have good mechs, you should have good equipment, and you should be ready to fight this thing and win. So here we are sprinting up on this. I have just enough water left to get me through this commentary. So here at the beginning, it's not about the fight. Like, they present you very clearly with a free turret generator, and you only have to destroy 3. And so it's like, get in there and destroy this turret generator, just like all the other turret generators in the game. They've coded the turrets into them. So it's like when you destroy the turret generators, the turrets explode, right? Video game logic, right? It's sort of like if you unplugged your power supply from your computer, if it then just blew up, right? But it's okay, whatever, doesn't matter. It's it's visual feedback that you did like the right thing. It's fine. It's just funny. Not quite enough to take it down. I think we get the fire starter in here to do the coup de grace. And look, the striker enemy vehicles on like a story mission. But again, like the story missions, their curve in this game is like this, right? Because it's the same with all like MechWarrior games in the sense of like by the time you're at the end of the game, not only do you have the experience, you've got the equipment, you've got the pilots, you've got everything that you need to deal with every situation. So like the real difficult part of the game comes at the beginning when you don't have any of that. You don't have the mechs you need. You don't have the pilots that you need. You don't have the guns or the resources that you need. So this is kind of the easier part of the game anyway. And that's okay. Makes the game, it's a fun aspect of the game, but you probably get critics because they're like, where's the challenge? And it's like, you already overcame the challenge, which is okay. Like, I think there's kind of an obsession in like game difficulty, right? But it's because a lot of people, and I'm no different in this regard, but a lot of people are like, at this point, they're like lifetime gamers in the sense that like they've got 2 or 3 games that they really, really enjoy and know well and play a lot. But it also creates this sort of hypocritical situation where it's like, oh, the game isn't hard enough or the game isn't very difficult. You'll probably hear it in like my MechWarrior 5 commentaries. Like I'll talk consistently about how the game just isn't that hard, right? You can play it however you want, basically. And obviously it's true here. Like, look, this is not an optimal lance. This is a good lance for this mission, but it's not an optimal lance for this mission. And like you could definitely have like whatever, like 64 kph style assault mechs with jump jets, and you could just walk all over this mission. But we'll walk over this mission anyway. Mostly because we have the benefit of hindsight. I've done this mission a lot, and it's not because it's difficult, it's because it's a mission that I enjoy, and so that's sort of like the best and the worst reason to get good at a thing, because you enjoy it a lot, because it creates a situation where it's like you get too good at it and then the challenge falls off. But whatever, it's okay. That's how games are. Kind of first world problem. So yeah, we've got our lighter guys up here. Um, it's all the same. We're going to be like razor focused on the objective. So we're going to be looking at annihilating this first scout. Again, they pretty much give it to you for free. Not nearly as much as the turret generator, but it's still like it's right there. Just figuring out how to get around his escorts, get his escorts out of the way so that we can do our job. Quick draw jumping in behind the Kentaro, getting some good shots in. It's all respectable enough. It's not a bad play. You just needed a better pilot in there to really take advantage of that. We'll immediately jump the Kentaro out of danger. But it's a pretty fast-paced mission, especially for this game. So yeah, I'm immediately a leg destroyed. So that's pretty much death for this spider, or any spider, if you leg it. But yeah, it's kind of where we're at with this, in the sense of we know exactly what we're doing. We know exactly how to push our lance to its limits. We know precisely where those limits are, and we'll get in there and do bad things to these bad guys. Time to die. 2 medium lasers, 2 small lasers, 3 machine guns. Brutal. Especially in this game. That kind of thing doesn't really work in MechWarrior 5, or light mechs are just a lot less viable in MechWarrior 5. It hurts my soul because in this game, like, look at that. It's like probably 125 damage or something coming out of that fire starter. And that's a lot more interesting and more fun and cool than having the sort of MechWarrior 5 situation where you don't get that much more mobility out of a light mech, you get a lot less durability, and you get a lot less firepower. So it just feels kind of bad to use them. Where in this game, it's the 180-degree opposite of that. You get a ton of mobility, you get, a ton of speed, you get lots of versatility, lots of jump jet slots, and you can get firepower up. Like, you can actually get them to do, again, you're not going to compete with an assault mech, but that's not the idea. It's like, put that fire starter up something's butt and let it shoot all of its guns into the rear armor. That's what it's for. So here's this other spotter, and he's all on his own. Is this the Q? 3 medium lasers, small laser, and an SRM4. What did I build this Cyclops to do? Because that's not very much damage, but as you know, the Cyclops doesn't have... It's got kind of Banshee-itis, right? In the sense that it's 90 tons, it's got a big engine in it, it's got a lot of armor, depending on which one you pick, and it doesn't have very much firepower. The worst offender is the Z. The Z comes with the AC-20 on it and like 4 tons of ammo and like really thin armor, so you're just driving around in a bomb, a giant bomb, and it's like 4 tons of a single AC2. Like, that's as much as like a King Crab has on it, I'm pretty sure. 2 tons for each gun. And this has got 4 tons for one gun. You'll just never push all that ammo out of that AC-20, even if you're firing it every round, and you just won't because it doesn't have the range. So the Z is a disaster. The Q is a much better mech, which is what we've got here. Here's this quick draw. He's already cooking. Shoot my Cyclops in the butt. Again, really doesn't matter because all of our enemies from this point on are going to be in front of us. Like, you're assaulting a hill, so getting shot in the back is just not an issue. And it seems like we're just keeping up with our sort of razor focus here, where like this spotter is gonna die, and that's all there is to it. We're just trying to figure out how to like walk up on this guy. And by walk up, I mean jump, because you use your jump jets for everything in this game. Like, look, I was on a highway. I still use my jump jets, because it's just... jump jets are amazing in this. Alright, spotter down. And again, that's the same as a dead spider. It's... we're going to get around there and we're going to shoot it, and he's going to be bye-bye. Just jumping around to keep our evasion up. It's also interesting because in this game, practically speaking, jump jets give you evasion. And in MechWarrior 5, like, the AI, the way that they think about it is they think of it in those terms. Like, they jump around all the time because it's like, oh, I'm jumping, it gives me evasion, and it really doesn't. Like, something jumps in front of you and you just sort of wait because they've got like hang time in the air, it takes them out of cover, it does everything that's bad for, like, they do it in like every mech, but they do it in light mechs the most. And so it's like you just wait for the spider to be like, ooh, and blam, dead. Okay, spotter down. Let me fight with my headphone a little bit. Artillery's missing. So far, so good. But yeah, so here we've split our lance because you've got these two points that you have to assault. And the other deal is like we've got fast mechs going the long way, slow mechs going the short way. Fast mechs are off the road climbing the hill. Slow mechs are on the road sprinting uphill. We might ignore these mechs altogether. I can't remember what I do here. I mean, we'll probably turn around and fight them, but we have to keep moving. We have to keep going. And once you're on the road, it's with like high quality pilots, it's pretty easy to just outrun enemy mechs. So here I'm looking at the map. I'll talk about the map here in just a little bit. Yeah, so we just ignore them. We're just like, we're too busy. We got stuff to do. Which this map is hypocritical about, by the way, or the mission is hypocritical about, because after you've destroyed everything, the mission doesn't just end. You have to kill all the opponents too, which I think, again, you're like conquering this planet, so it makes sense. You want to eliminate those enemies so that they're not a threat for later. But it's like, it's hypocritical at the feel of the map where it's like go 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 go, turn around and kill everything, and it's like, so you're like the entire time you're sprinting, your heat's at max, you're stressed out, and then it's like, oh, now I have to kill all of these enemies, even though it's much more like a raid than anything. So here we will jump the Kintaro up here. We have the Firestarter in reserve, but we're hoping that the Alpha Strike from the Kintaro is enough to knock out Generator Bravo. Blam. There it goes. But again, like, plus damage SRM6s, plus damage medium lasers. Stuff's gonna die. So here, we're gonna wrap around there and get, that's sort of like our focal point. That's the final generator. We're gonna get these guys up, and if they're there first, they'll destroy the final generator. And your faster mechs, especially if you run a mixed lance, usually will be first. Like, look, that's like 3/4 of the way up the hill, and the other team is a slower group, and they're only about halfway up the hill. So lighter mechs will probably get there first. These guys at the bottom of the hill, we've totally lost them at this point. They're going to have to catch us up. So here we're on the road, and there's like this switchback, right? And you can stay on the road, and but if you do, you kind of get up there in the middle of the map, about there, and a lance will drop right on top of you. And if you don't know that that's going to happen, that can be a real nasty surprise, because you probably split your lance. Lance drops right on top of you, and it's like a mixed lance, so it's not the end of the world. But if you have a lance drop, again, think of MechWarrior 5, you have a lance drop on you, you got to pay attention to that. You can't really just ignore that situation. So it's a thing. So here you can go all the way around on the outside, which I've done before to get up to this turret generator. It's also not guarded on that side, and you can do that, especially if you're using like your slower mechs to get around. But it's kind of a waste of time. It's, let me put it this way, it's like the slower, safer route, and but you don't really have to do it. It just doesn't gain you that much. It's good that they put it in there, but I bet, like, you know, the vast majority of experienced players that take on this mission don't bother with it. Maybe something a new person might do on their first or second try on this mission. But yeah, so like these guys are at the top of the hill. They're already running hot, so sprinting is a great way to manage your heat. And they're probably going to be up there first. So nothing to do but push them. We've left those guys in the dust. We're checking our artillery, but there's no danger. Artillery is basically pointless at this stage because spotters are dead. The mixed lance that drops in drops one more spotter for whatever reason because you're like right on top of each other, and artillery is not going to fire on their own position. So at least in this game it doesn't. Just checking my evasion there, like once your evasion gets so high, using all of your max sprint doesn't give you more evasion. It has a cap, and so you don't need to sprint all the way up there if you don't want to. Here's the Jenner. The Jenner, unlike the quick draw, is actually fast enough to chase us down, but it's also a Jenner versus a Marauder and a Cyclops, so think Jenner pilots, do you really want to be in that situation? But anyway. Yep, still sprinting up here. We're kind of pulling our punches just to make sure that our units stay together a little bit. But again, the Firestarter, it's crazy to think about it, but the Firestarter and the Kintaro can do about the same amount of damage. Think of that like block of stats that I always talk about. Like their damage profiles are pretty similar. And so the Firestarter, even if it's the Firestarter and not the Kintaro, the Firestarter can do enough damage to take out that turret generator, I'm pretty sure. Just positioning these guys. Again, we have the benefit of hindsight, so we're anticipating this lance dropping. It was a long time since I'd played, and it's been another long time since the recording, so I probably didn't remember exactly when the lance dropped this time around, but I knew that they were going to drop on us. So yeah, we're just running in there. Again, like, look at that big stack of evasion. Turrets aren't particularly good shots, and you can take advantage of their minimum range. It's going to take a shot, is what it looked. Nope. Because that wasn't a sprint, or I didn't think so. Maybe it was. So here, everyone is in position to attack. Everyone is where they need to be to attack this position. But the Firestarter is already in there, so it's like the Firestarter can get it, kill the target. If it doesn't, there's tons of backup waiting to help him do the job. But like, look at that damage. 35, 35, 30, 30. Jeez. Shredded. Alright, here's our surprise lance, but the joke is on them because we've got them surrounded. Mop up any remaining hostiles. Okay, sure, why not? But yeah, we're right on top of them with maxed evasion. The only thing that they get is like a free turn with their lighter mechs, which I think was the Vindicator in this case. Yeah, even the Trebuchet didn't get to move because we've got a Cyclops, so battle computer, baby. Battle computer in this game way more interesting than like their Cyclopses. MechWarrior 5 just needs to have some of its its stuff fleshed out a little bit better. Almost a one-shot on that Jaeger mech. Because there are cool things like battle computers, chassis quirks, all sorts of stuff that they could add to the game to make it more interesting. The modding community has kind of stepped in there, which is fine. It's just not part of the intended game design, which is the only reason why I'm not like a 100% supporter of mods. Like, the people definitely introduce mods to improve balance, but the number of mods that destroy the game's balance way outnumber the number of mods that improve the game's balance. absolutely just trash this spotter instantly. They have like quick draws and stuff. Like, why wouldn't you make your spotter a quick draw instead of a spider? I'm being silly though, I guess, because this is the periphery. Like, they're lucky to not be using industrial mechs. Cyclops is probably the fanciest mech they've ever seen in their life. And these would have been like trained MechWarriors. Shooting at the wrong side of the mech. Can't really do anything about it though. It didn't matter. Headbutt with the Jaeger mech. Because again, like, look at where we are for that. This is the Jaeger mech Alpha. We're in its minimum range. It can't do anything here. And the same thing with the Trebuchet. Like both those mechs. Because I think the idea is, from a game design perspective, they're expecting like maybe your entire lance to be in the same place. I don't know. But this is like a sniper lance. Like even their lighter mechs, Trebuchet, Vindicator. Here's a Jenner. Still pretty out of position. Still sprinting, trying to keep his heat down so that he can deliver that big hit. But it's too late. So we're just picking who we're going to dunk on this time because they've kind of sorted out this situation a little bit where their lance isn't in between two of our mechs. So we need to basically regain that advantage. Don't have quite enough heat plus movement with this Kentaro to put it where I want, but we'll get it sorted out. All of our mechs are in really good shape, so it's not like we couldn't take some hits. There we go. So you can see now that we've recreated that situation. The Cyclops is on one side of the enemy lance, and the Kentaro is on the other. So they can't effectively focus fire a mech. They're gonna try to, right? Focus on this Marauder, but they just can't. No. Let me pause that recording. Hey guys, so I had a contractor knock on my door, and it's got nothing to do with you guys, but we had a storm that happened literally a year ago, did some damage to the house, some water damage, and if you've been through that kind of thing, you already know what the deal is. Like insurance, contractors, negotiation, all that stuff happens before they can actually come do the project to fix your house. And if the damage is bad enough, like you're accumulating more damage while the bureaucratic process takes place to get your damage fixed. And so, but anyway, we're through all of that. Guy just had some questions, and we got him taken care of. So we'll go ahead and square away the end of this mission. And at some point, old me, past Teehashee, will young me. Sorry, time travel is weird. Anyway, past Teehashee will step in and resume the recording once he realizes that he had his recording button turned off the entire time for the last 2 missions. There. Dead Jaeger mech, shot in the booty. Jaeger mech's a bad mech. Everyone knows it. Like, it's funny that, like, the urban mech gets memed on when the Jaeger mech is just like the urban mech, but worse. It's slower, makes the same cardinal sin of having not enough energy on it, you know, and is thinly armored on top of all that. Ooh, great big. I probably put some melee stuff on this Cyclops as well. I don't know, but he just had 90 tons of anger drop on his face, and he's in a Vindicator. Terrifying. So here's a Jenner trying to be a hero. Again, all Jenner pilots, you guys are heroes. I understand. I like scouting too. And it's not an easy job, but oh boy, the double DFA for the finale doesn't matter because we've got 90% of our damage still. Probably about 85, but still. Missing the DFA doesn't even matter. I don't even know if we missed it because we still got the knockdown. I thought that we missed it, but Trebuchet trying to sort the situation out. Yeah, shoot the Firestarter in the back. Whatever. Firestarter hasn't even been shot hardly at all, especially in the back. So we're just going to stay on his patootie, do bad things to it. Oh, that's all went in there. Yep. The best he could have done is run up the hill and do trebuchet things, but the Kintaro is just as fast as the trebuchet is, and having that Kintaro on you and you're in the trebuchet, probably going to lose that fight. This is the best play that he could make, but it's over. We all know that it's over. Oh, and we still got the quick draw that's like way over there. But yeah, I'll have to cut these videos together. I was hoping to save some time on editing, and you just don't get to sometimes. It's either do the editing or redo the recording, but either way, you lose that time. So yeah, our lance is all together, their lance is destroyed, and all they have is just these. I guess it's the same X that they started with. They've got the Jenner and the quick draw. Oh no. Was that a one-shot? Had I shot at that Jenner at all? I don't even remember. I also don't know where I hit it. I think it said CT destroyed, so like big boot to the CT. I probably pushed, as I say, it's a melee damage up. Just crushed it. What a disaster. Jenner pilots, again. Heroes, every single one of you. Like, you don't even have to like the Jenner. All you have to do is like Jenner pilots. Because you know that if they're in a Jenner, they'll do absolutely anything it takes to get the job done. Because the Jenner is a desperate mech for desperate people. Boy, that didn't get us like hardly any heat back. Enough to take a shot. That's it. But you guys can see like how close we came to like we just had our armor penetrated for the first time in the mission, and it was like rear armor, I'm pretty sure. So, and like that rear armor is never going to be available as a target again for the entire rest of the mission. Like, it's a quick draw. It might jump behind us, maybe. I don't think so though. It's definitely one of those things where like it's so easy to keep your mech faced towards your opponent as long as you're not getting flanked. It's very doable. Yeah, these guys are going to be getting pressed. Pressed. I say these guys, there's only one dude left. It's a weird thing about this game though, because enemies don't retreat, and this is kind of like a last stand kind of situation anyway. But again, like you've lost. Like you could punch out, you could get on the the unencrypted communications seems relatively canon in the MechWarrior universe that they have, that most of their communications are just not encrypted. So okay, that's the end of the mission. I've got some more post-mission commentary to go over, and we'll... Oh, look, Timbiki Dark. If only... God, who's the mech tech from MechWarrior 5? For Fahad? If only Fahad was here. But yeah, I'll wrap up this commentary here as future Teehashee. My webcam will go away, and so, but that's okay. We got to hang out for a little bit. We can do my mission cleanup. I can do a little bit of the story commentary that I want to do because it's, yeah, look, super clean. Look at all the kills. Marauder putting in the work. What is this? Sorry about that. Not that we missed anything exciting, but again, new computer, new setup, everything's new. And I don't know why the monitors think that they're so self-important to be like, maybe because I haven't been touching the computer, but again, we're watching it like a TV. It doesn't have to pop up something with the middle of the screen to be like, oh, hey, by the way, like, are we like the most important thing in your life? Because we think we are, and we're just going to give you this message right in the middle of your screen, in the middle of what you're doing. So, anyway, clean salvage. We put almost everything into damage. Again, salvaging mechs at this stage of the game pretty pointless, except for money. So we got like plus damage medium lasers, plus damage LRM, I am pretty sure. And that's all super great. Added damage. What more could you want? Especially in this game, like added damage is the same as heat efficiency, right? Because you need to fire your guns, as long as you're hitting, of course, but you need to fire your guns less and do more. So added damage is huge. Okay, so we've got Elena here. She's the personal attaché to Protector Calderon, and we're basically reviewing the fallout of the intel we gave to the Taurians, and them basically coming to the realization that they were duped into getting into this war, and they don't really have any sort of strategic reason to commit to this war. It's much more of an, they thought that they were attacked and they're going to counterattack, which is much more of like an idealistic thing. And like the Taurians, I like the Taurians. Taurians are cool people, cool society, and generally like they try to be good. So we don't have much to say here. We go with, wherever you are, Lord Madeira, thank you, right? But there isn't too much to add to this conversation. Again, this is all way above our level. We're just mercs, And this is like high level diplomatic conversation that's happening here. Okay, so they've ceased conflict, de-escalated between the Federated Suns, de-escalated with us, and we're gonna be uh, looking at the fate of Director Santiago. This is cool here because here it says, should he ever dare to leave Aurigan space, and that's how like actual diplomacy is conducted. Like they aren't going to come into your space or come into a conflict zone and try and extract that war criminal. Like you're basically safe in your own country even if you are a war criminal, but if you were to go to a place where they can get you, they're going to try and get you, right? It's the same with like drug dealers, it's the same with like who was the WikiLeaks guy? Anyway, it's the same thing. Like those sort of political opponents. It seems disingenuous to call a war criminal a political opponent, but it's kind of how it shakes out for the Torians' perspective, right? That they wouldn't commit any more units than they've already committed to this conflict. Sorry, guys. Apparently, I'd been speaking for a minute with my microphone turned off. How silly. Um, anyway, I was just saying how you only get a couple they're solid interactions with Commodore Ostergaard, but it's just a few. So this is probably a little bit additional characterization to push him into a solid villain um, role because he goes out later and he goes out in kind of a sad way in my opinion, but we'll talk about that more when we get there. But here it's explained that even were he to return, um, he would be in trouble probably. Let's just say this for now. She's a Taurian. Yep, that's this is actually good dialogue. Yep, this is a good day. Yep, she's gonna gather her forces, and we're gonna go for the final push. So here's Kamea being Kamea. I don't really have that much input. Usually um, it's fun to dissect her character a little bit, but um, see, even for our conversation here, we don't really have anything to add. I don't feel. Because it seems like right now the hope is that the directorate will stand down, which um, Espinoza has a slightly different plan. To complete high tonnage lances. We can do that. The biggest limiting factor will be our mech warriors more than our mechs. We got mechs for days. Let's check out the barracks. We need 8 that we're happy sending in. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So someone else is going to have to go in. Someone who's not quite ready, like Mamba. Right? I'll count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see if there's an easy way out. Doesn't look like it. Blip. I like that. It's a good name. Nice. That guy's got a lot of good training. Snake Eyes. Liao Noble. Okay. And we got contracts here, so we'll have an opportunity to train up that, sorry, we have contract here. Forgive me. We have an opportunity to train up this, this final pilot. Realistically,